Hey everybody, thanks for clicking that thumbnail. Hope you enjoy the video. And this video is going to be a ranking video. I'm going to rank the All-Canadian division because if we do have hockey and the Players Union and the NHL work something out, because that's in doubt right now. But if we do have hockey, it is going to be more than likely, almost a certainty, it's going to be an All-Canadian division. So all 7 Canadian teams playing against themselves for the whole season, however, whatever the length is going to be. And I'm going to rank those teams. Now, I'm doing this in a bit of a different way in that there was an article in TheAthletic. So if you don't get TheAthletic, you might not have seen this. It was by Pierre Lebrun. And what he did was he reached out to a bunch of NHL executives, coaching staff members, and pro scouts from US-based teams. So there's no Canadian-based people in this survey that he did. And he got 15 responses back where they ranked the order that they thought the teams would finish, and they gave some comments, and I'm going to go over that, and then I'm going to do my rankings. So hopefully that'll be interesting, and we're going to get right into it right now. And we're going to start with, see, we got them all 15 right here. We'll start with number 1 up here. Number 1 is an Eastern Conference team executive. He won't identify anybody or the team, so it's all anonymous, but it's Pierre Lebrun, so there's no worry about that this is actually, real. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. So it's number 1 is the Eastern Conference team executive, and he has Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Ottawa bringing up the rear. And he says, in my mind, little separates the top 4 to 5 teams. I think this is a very common sentiment from a lot of people. I share the same thing. I think from 6 to 1, it could work out in any kind of order. And pretty much almost any team, I think, can finish in first place. He has the Toronto number 1. So a follow-up question, LeBrun asked him why Leafs at number 1, and he said just based on overall skill set throughout the top 9, and I believe Anderson can still play well. So there you go, that's number 1. Number 2 is an Eastern Conference front office person, and he has Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and again, Ottawa bringing up the rear. And he says it's a tough division to predict. Some teams might look different when the season starts. Well, that's obvious. So he was also asked why Leafs at number 1. And he says progression and learning from past season's failures. Better defense, more grit and leadership. And goalie still a question mark. Now they need to figure out if they can put it all together. Number 3 is a member of the Western Conference, Western Conference coaching staff, and he has Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal in 4th, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Ottawa. And he says, they asked him, he has no other comments then, he was asked why Leafs at number 1, and they have both depth and high-end players. Their goaltending will be good enough. I think it's really tight from 2 to 5, but none of those teams can match Toronto's lineup. I don't necessarily agree with that. They have a great first line. Their goaltending should be good enough, but I don't think they have the depth that the Toronto fans think. I really don't. Anyways, I don't. I don't agree with that. I'm not saying that I think Toronto's a bad team, but I'm not agreeing with that that nobody can match Toronto's lineup at all. There's different ways to match that, and I think there's teams here that can match Toronto's lineup, so I don't agree with that. Number 4, another Western Conference coaching staff member. He heavily penalized Vancouver for losing Markstrom to Calgary as a UFA. He has Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, Winnipeg, Vancouver in 6th, Ottawa in 7th. And he says, yes, huge loss, plus 3 to 4 other guys off to free agency as well. So he thinks Calgary, did he say? No, Vancouver is going to take a huge hit from the loss of talent. And he doesn't mention anything about that, what he thinks of the guys coming back in, but I guess that's comment on it right there, that he doesn't think it's good enough. Number 5, an Eastern Conference coaching staff member. He has Calgary, Toronto, Edmonton, Montreal, Vancouver in 5th, Winnipeg and Ottawa, and he also has Markstrom being a huge move for Calgary. So same thing, Vancouver lower because of that. And he says, I think the goalie will make a huge difference for Calgary. Number 6, an Eastern Conference team executive this time, citing Markstrom and head coach Jeff Ward and an improved defense as the reason he picked Calgary as number 1. So we had Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Montreal in 6th, and Ottawa. I don't like this guy. That's okay. He's allowed his opinion, right? Number 7. It's a Western Conference coaching staff member this time. He has Calgary, Montreal in 2nd this time. Toronto, right behind Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Vancouver, and Ottawa. So he has really high marks for Calgary's offseason moves. I really like the additions to that team. They got stronger, in my opinion. Now, he has Montreal in 2nd. I think just having Montreal in 2nd, he's kind of saying the same thing about Montreal, where LeBrun didn't put that in because it's not aimed at Montreal fans. But I think it's the same thing. He cannot have Montreal in 2nd and say, well, they didn't really do that much in the offseason. So, yeah. Western Conference team executive is at number 8. He has Calgary, Toronto, Montreal in 3rd this time, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Ottawa. And he says if Montreal or Vancouver pick up a D, could move either of them up a spot. So for that guy, I'm wondering when he sent that in, because both teams did. Vancouver, didn't they pick up Nate Schmidt? It's going to help them a lot. And Montreal with Joel Edmondson. Yeah, and you got Romanov. I mean, there's only one spot on Montreal's D that's really kind of up in the air. So I wonder when he responded with that. But yeah, I mean, I think any team picks up a really good D is going to get a little better. So there you go. Number 9, Eastern Conference team executive right here. He has Montreal, the first Montreal in 1st. Toronto 2nd, Vancouver, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Calgary, and then Ottawa. That's a common theme you're noticing. Ottawa on the bottom. So he loved Montreal's offseason moves and feels they were the best in this group. He argues it's the deepest the Habs have been in years. And I think that's pretty accurate, that Montreal right now, it's the deepest I've seen them in a long time. And that's why I got such high hopes. And I think there's some kind of deep-seated, I don't know if it's hatred or bias against Montreal that people are not seeing that yet. And when they do get on the ice and they play the games, if it goes the way I think it's going to go, it won't take long and people will be, oh, Montreal, they really look good. And that's what's going to happen. Number 10, he's an Eastern Conference pro scout. He has Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Ottawa bringing up the rear. And he says they had a great first he was asked this time, why so high on Montreal? Because I think LeBrun said there's so many others that did say Toronto in 1st. He wanted to know why Montreal was so high on the list for this guy. And he says they had a great offseason, addressed and upgraded many critical holes in their lineup with high-end, quality, and proven NHL players. Edmondson is the perfect fit to solidify the D. The addition of Anderson and Toffoli, along with the emergence and maturity of their youth, is an intriguing combo, of course. No, is an intriguing combo. And he says, of course, there's always the Carey Price factor, which is huge. So he really likes what Montreal has done, yet he still has Toronto in 1st. And to be honest with you, yeah, I mean, if you're high on Montreal, but you got to admit that Toronto could be there too. I'm not saying Toronto's a bad team. And I won't say that in this. So if any Toronto fans are out there, no, I'm not going to beat you up. Number 11 is an Eastern Conference coaching staff member. And he says, this is a tough one. I feel it will be very competitive and not a lot separating the first place team and the last. I don't agree with that as the last. I think Ottawa will finish below that pack, but they could surprise. So a lot will depend on who stays healthy during the year with COVID and a condensed schedule. That condensed schedule, I think that's going to be pretty huge. And yeah, the unknown about COVID, if the players can get it, how secure they are in a bubble or not, that's going to be big. So he has number 1, Toronto. So much skill and talent, young players are not so young anymore. By that, I guess he means they're not young kids anymore. They've learned, they're maturing, and they're better players. Number 2, Montreal. I like their offseason moves, gained a lot of confidence, and played well in the bubble. And, of course, number 31. Number 3, Edmonton. Number 97 will win the Hart Trophy this year. Number 4, Winnipeg. Window is closing, but goalie is just getting going. They do have that Connor Hellebuck. So like, when we had Carey Price, that goalie makes a huge difference. So number 5, Vancouver. Took a step forward last year. We'll see what they're made of this year. So, and they lost a bit there in Markstrom especially. So we'll see if Holtby can just pick it up from where they left off or not. Number 6, Calgary. Not consistent enough for him. Number 7, Ottawa. Could see them moving up, good offseason moves, and play a hard-nosed game, but not enough wins to move them up this list. And that's kind of what I agreed to. I don't think they're going to win enough to, to be higher up than number 7. And then number 12, number 12 is a Western Conference coaching staff member. And he has Montreal in first. I think that's the first one, Montreal in first. Edmonton, or the second one. Edmonton, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Toronto, Calgary, and Ottawa. And he says it may be a real toss-up. And he was asked why the Leafs so low, because he has the Leafs at 5. Toronto was an easy team to play against. Toronto may be best if they respond to their playoff performance. Embarrassed. Similar to how Tampa used their spanking and turned it into a strength. So that's true. I mean, if Toronto really responds to that embarrassing last season, yeah, but and they brought in more grit and all that stuff, but is it enough? I don't know. I personally don't think so, because the guys they did bring in for that grit and leadership there have been on the old side and in a very condensed schedule, which more than likely is going to be a short, condensed schedule. It's going to be tough for the older guys. I don't know how much they're going to contribute to, a Stanley Cup win. And Thornton's what? He's 40, 41. I don't know. I don't see it personally. And yeah. I'm not saying it can't work, because it's very risky reward type thing. If they have a great season, if it does work out the way they're hoping, yeah, Toronto could be head and shoulders above others. I'll agree with that, because they brought in good guys. They're just a little bit old, and they do have some good talent there. There's no denying that. And they improved their defense and all that. So I think it's going to be, really tight. And anyway, number 12, we'll get to mine in a minute. Number 12, Western Conference coaching staff member. I read that. Yeah, okay. Number 13, Eastern Conference executive. That should go for the blooper file. Toronto, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Montreal. A lot of people have Montreal in 4. Calgary, Edmonton, and Ottawa. And he says, I believe Ottawa is clearly number 7, but the other 6 could be in any order. All 6 are pretty even and pretty good, with obvious flaws, of course. It wouldn't shock me if any of the other top 6 finish first, which is pretty much what I was saying. And I think I've said it before in videos, so it's not like I'm stealing it from here, is I think they're really close. I think it's going to be very competitive. It's going to be an exciting, fun, it's just going to be a great season, no matter how many games, if there's an all-Canadian division. So, but yeah, I believe that the teams could be pretty close, and it could be a very close finish. Number 14 is a Western Conference coaching staff member. He has Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary, Montreal, again in 4th, Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Ottawa. So he debated with himself between the Leafs and Oilers, and he decided on Toronto at number 1. So Toronto has better balance offensively than Edmonton. They made some good moves to make them harder to play against, which should help Matthews and Marner figure some things out. And I like Anderson better than Edmonton's goalies. I definitely agree with that. I do. I agree with what he said here. They mostly. They probably do have a little bit better balance offensively, but it does hinge on, I guess, like I said, these old guys. Risk reward. Are you getting the risky part? Are you going to get a reward from it? And that's how it's going to be, I think. And I think Anderson and Campbell are better than Edmonton's goalies. That's my opinion right now. Edmonton's goalies are going to have to prove that I'm wrong. Not that they're going out and going, hey, Talking Habs said we're not good enough. It's not going to happen. Number 15, Western Conference coaching staff member has Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Edmonton, Montreal in 5th, Calgary, and Ottawa. And the only quote he's got there is easily 1 could be 5 and 5 could be 1, or anything in between. I added the anything in between part, but without saying. So yeah, again, as you see, as I said earlier, that most of these guys think that it's going to be very close and it could turn out any way, and it's hard to kind of judge and rank these teams, except for one, and we'll get to it right now. We'll get to mine. Ottawa. Everybody, including myself, has Ottawa last. I think it's the only place there's consensus, and there's 15 on 15. So what I'm going to do when I say that, how I rank them and how these guys, how many agreed with me. That's how I'm doing that. So number 6. For 6, I've got Winnipeg. And I just think, as I've seen here in Montreal so many times, that with a weaker defense, you may have the goalie, and he's great, but it's not enough. It's just not enough to move up the rankings. So we'll see how that works out. If they can improve their defense more before the season starts, it could change, obviously. And I think offense and goalie, they're good enough. Goalie could make up for the defense's whatever they're lacking in, like he did last year. That could happen. It's hard, but just from experience with Montreal, I kind of think that. So 6 of 15 of these guys agreed with me. Number 5. At number 5, I have Edmonton. And this, I did this for my members. Not in the same way, obviously, but I did the ranking. And it's the only place I switched. I had Winnipeg there, Edmonton here. I switched them. So Edmonton in 5th, 3 out of 15 agree with me. And Edmonton, I think the goalies are a problem. Clefbaum being out all season is going to be a problem. It's going to take a lot from McDavid and Draisaitl to lift them up with the offense. And maybe it's like the old Oilers when Gretzky was there, where they just outscored you, and that's it. They didn't care if you scored because they're just going to score another one. And that's basically what they did. They outscored the opponent. And if you don't believe me, go back and look at Grant Fuhr's goalie stats. His numbers were atrocious, but he was winner, because they just outscored everybody, and that's what it was. So they could do that maybe this year, but they're going to have to, I think, and then maybe Koskinen could make, is it Koskinen? Could make a difference in that I'm not expecting, but I think that's going to be a problem for them. Number 4, I've got Vancouver. So Vancouver, I think, personally, Holtby will make up enough of the difference. I like Markstrom. I think Markstrom probably get even better. But I think Holtby is going to be good enough and have a bounce-back year enough to keep them competitive and up there. Only 1 of 15 agreed with me at number 4, by the way. Nate Schmidt's going to help on defense. I think they have still a good team. Not good enough to be at the top, I don't think. But possibly, because they've got, they've got the offense. And there's my dog. Gotta pause. I don't know if she agreed with me or whatever, but she likes to make her comments. So we were at Vancouver. Yeah, they got Pedersen, Horvat, Besser. I forget. They got a good offense. They've got a better defense, I think, with Nate Schmidt there. And they lost a few people, yes, but I think they're going to be okay. Not top of the pack, though. Number 3. Okay, Toronto fans hate me. Toronto. And how many agreed with me? 2. 2 out of 15 agreed with me. I think it's risk reward, like I said earlier. I don't think it's going to be reward. I think it's going to be risk, and it's not going to be good. I think their goaltending is going to be fine. I think their first 2 lines are fine, but I just think that you get problems after that. Their defense is better, but is it good enough? Don't know. There's question marks. Do I think Toronto could win the division? Yeah, I do. I think they're going to be a good team, but I think there's still something lacking there in Toronto and I know it's the grit and all that. That's what I think. I don't think they've improved that enough to make a difference. And can they win the big game or not? We don't know. So they can get there. They can win in the regular season, be right up there 1, 2, or 3. But can they win in the playoffs? We don't know yet. We're going to find out. But I think they're going to finish number 3. Number 2, no, I don't have Montreal here. I got Calgary. I think Calgary with 2 of 15. By the way, 4 of 15 pick Calgary for first. So I think Markstrom makes a big difference, solidifies the goaltending. I think the defense is okay. I don't know enough about their defense. I think it's good enough. And then they've got a really good offense. They've got some good grit. Matt Tkachuk, who I don't really like, but he's a gritty player. They've got that right attitude, that drive, not give up type of thing. I think they might have fixed their problem. They had a problem there. They did so horribly in the playoffs last year. I don't know. But I think they're good enough to be in second. I think they could also finish sixth. Yeah, but I like the addition of Markstrom. I think it makes a big difference there. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, not hard to figure out who's in number one, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, 2 people out of the 15 agreed with me. Before I tell you why, Toronto had the most, by the way. 9 out of 15 picked them in first. Calgary had 4 out of 15 in first, and Montreal 2, and that's it. And you can say 3 because I'm picking them in first. And here's why. I've been doing ranking videos recently, and a lot of the Montreal finishes well in the top. Okay, let me put it this way. Goaltending, I think they're number 1 tandem. Defense, top 10. Offense, right near the top 10, if not in the top 10. Their depth, working on it, but not bad. I think it makes them one of the better teams in the league, and I think, honestly, in this division, I think they win it. And I'm not saying that. There might be a little bias because I'm a Habs fan, but I really believe that I'm not doing that. I'm not being biased. This is unbiased, hopefully an unbiased look. I've been going through the rankings. Montreal does well in the league. They do well. I'm going to be doing the power rankings. We're going to do it on our podcast, hopefully tonight. And I'm going to do what we agree, me and Jeff come up with. We're going to put it up on a video, and we'll see where Montreal finishes. But I think in an all-Canadian division, Montreal has as good a shot as anybody, and maybe better than some, to be number 1. There you go. That's my video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to make any comments, you don't agree. Of course, people don't agree. Someone's not going to agree. Someone's not going to be happy with it. Let me know. Just be nice about it in the comment section. And yeah, do that. That's down there. And if you are new to the channel and maybe haven't subscribed yet, or you've been here for a while, haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, ring the notifications bell. That's down there. That'll get you notified and your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge right here at Talkin' Habs. So thanks everybody for watching. Really do appreciate it. Stay safe out there and peace out, y'all. See you next video. Bye, everybody.